right along. So, hello everyone, welcome and thank you for joining me today. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Coach Sheree, the single parent life coach, and my mission is to empower single parents to embrace their unique journeys, discover their inner strength, and create a fulfilling life filled with confidence, self love, and purpose. As a single parent myself, I definitely understand the unique challenges that we face, including the weight of judgment and criticism that can come from both inside and outside our circles. So, today I want to share practical strategies and insights to help you not only navigate those challenges, but also grow stronger and more resilient because of them. In this session, we're going to dive really deep into the topic of dealing with criticism and judgment as a single parent, such as recognizing and addressing internal versus external judgment, understanding the sources of criticism and how to personalize it, building resilience so you can stay grounded and confident, reframing negative narratives into empowering ones, and then turning criticism into opportunities for growth. Let's see here. So, my goal tonight is to create a safe and empowering space where we can tackle these topics together. I want to help you shift your mindset, reclaim your confidence, and approach parenting with clarity and strength. So, let's take time to learn, reflect, and grow as a community. Just remember this, you're not alone, and I'm here to remind you of the incredible power you already have within you. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, the first things first that we're going to deal with tonight is internal versus external judgment. So, internal judgment is the self critical thoughts and the feelings we create within ourselves. External judgment is criticism or opinions received from others about our parenting choices or lifestyle. So, how does it affect our mindset? Well, internal judgment creates feelings of inadequacy and self doubt. External judgment can lead to defensiveness or people pleasing behaviors. So, there's a few steps that you can um, take to overcome this. You can recognize the source of the judgment, internal or external. You can practice self awareness and self compassion. You can counter negative self talk with affirmations. You can limit your exposure to individuals or environments that perpetuate external criticism. So, predictable outcomes when you do this, you can have greater self confidence and a stronger ability to set boundaries. So, the next thing I want to go into is a lot of times we sometimes can't recognize if this is really criticism. And so, or if it's really criticism. So, we want to understand the source of criticism, where it's coming from. That definition is understanding the source of criticism means identifying where the critique is coming from, why it's being given, and the intentions behind it. It involves analyzing where the feedback is constructive or negative, and recognizing how the critic's perspective, experiences, or biases may influence their comments. So, criticism often reflects about the critic. I'm sorry, criticism often reflects more about the critic than the recipient. Distinguish between constructive feedback and unproductive criticism. Like sometimes you have to hear with a filter, to whereas you have to kind of like hear it and not hear it, or possibly a sponge, where maybe I need to absorb this, maybe I need to take this in. So, those are definitely things that you want to, take a look at and understand, and understanding the source of the criticism. And so, um, the next thing is strategies to depersonalize and gain clarity. You want to pause before you react to criticism. You want to ask yourself, is this coming from a place of love or judgment? Um, you also want to seek clarity, on, when the criticism is unclear, like by asking a question, what do you mean by that? Focus on the intent rather than the tone. Because sometimes I know for me, I've been one to focus on the tone versus the intent. And so sometimes you have to ask questions in order to get that clarity. So the outcome in doing these things or following those steps will be to have a less emotional reactivity or reaction, and an ability to discern whether it's a valuable insight or unnecessary negativity. And so the next thing you want to talk about is building. I want to talk about is building resilience. When you're dealing with judgment and criticism, the definition of building resilience means the ability to recover quickly from challenges or criticism with strength and adaptability. So practical steps in that would be you can cultivate a gratitude, practice to focus on positives rather than negatives. You can build a strong support system, whether that's friends, it could be family, or just a single parent community. I have one, my Facebook group. So engage in self care routines, to maintain emotional balance. You want to make sure that you are understanding where are all these emotions coming from. And so reflect on past challenges that you've already overcome for strength. So that's where your resilience lies. And so, in order when you take these steps and you understand, what it means to build your resilience when you're dealing with criticism or judgment as a single parent, you want to it'll increase your emotional stability, and then it'll give you the ability to handle future criticism with grace, or even just no response. And so the next thing I want to talk about is reframing the narrative, because sometimes people give you this their own thought process of what a single parent is. A lot of us became single parents not just because we wanted to. It just so happened to us. It wasn't something that was in our plans. So reframing the narrative means changing the way you perceive criticism to see it as an opportunity for growth. Not that this is who you are, but as an opportunity to grow from understanding what that person's intentions was, or were, and then understanding whether, again, do I filter this or do I sponge it? Do I absorb it? And so the steps in that to reframe from the narrative, you want to identify the lesson or truth, if any, in the criticism. You want to rewrite the negative story in your mind into an empowering one. You want to choose to focus on the progress you've made rather than the perceived shortcomings of what others' opinions are of you. And so, for example, you want to say, instead of thinking, they think I'm not a good parent, shift to I'm doing my best with the resources that I have, and I'm always learning. I'm always learning from my mistakes. So, you want to make sure that you're not taking in anyone else's opinion of you as your identity. You want to make sure you're not doing that. And so, in the outcomes of this, you can reduce feelings of guilt and shame. You can increase your motivation to keep improving, because we're all always improving every day. So, the next thing I want to talk about, and the last thing, is turning your criticism into growth. That's a big one for me. That's something I had to do for myself. And so it's turning criticism into growth means, you use the feedback, whether it's negative or positive, as an opportunity to learn, improve, and build your resilience. It involves shifting your perspective, your mindset, to see criticism as a tool for self-reflection and development rather than a personal attack. Because I think a lot of times when we hear something that's negative or critical to our parenting skills, especially as single parents, we take it personal, a lot of times. Some of us can just roll it off our back, but those of us that can't, take it as an opportunity to say, okay, you know what? Like I stated beforehand, I'm doing my best with the resources I have, and I'm always learning. And so actionable steps in turning criticism into growth would be to analyze if the criticism has any merit for self-improvement. Like, am I offended by this, or does this bother me what this person has said, because it's an area that I need to grow in, or an area I'm insecure in? And so if you find that that is true, set realistic goals for those areas of improvement where it's needed, and then you celebrate those small wins to build momentum. So examples of growth from criticism would be developing better communication skills, where you can speak for yourself. You can say what's on your mind. You can say, oh, well, you know what? That's your opinion. You're entitled to it. This is my situation. You're not in my shoes. You don't know, exactly what I'm dealing with. Or sometimes silence. Best thing ever. And so also gives you a sense of empowerment and accomplishment. You know, now it may be a little lonely along the way. People may go their separate ways and they may not deal with you and they may have all the reasons why. But be thankful that you stood up for you, which ties into your self worth, your self awareness, your self love. You know who you are now. And sometimes when you don't need that person's validation, then they're no longer around. So, in closing, criticism and judgment can feel overwhelming, as a single parent, but you have the strength to face them head on. By shifting your mindset, it starts with your mind. Shifting your mindset, building your resilience, reframing the narrative, you can transform challenges into opportunities for growth. Remember, you are not defined by anyone else's opinion, but your own. And until next time, guys, I hope you've learned something on tonight, taking something with you, a few nuggets that you can take with you for the remainder of the week. Until next week, again, this is Coach Sheree, the single parent life coach. I will see you next Thursday. Have a thriving evening.